The twin flame journey is one of the most profound and transformative spiritual experiences one can embark on. It is a connection that transcends lifetimes, weaving through the fabric of the universe itself. But as divine as this connection is, it often comes with its own set of challenges, especially when it comes to the emotional depth of the divine masculine. Many who identify as the divine feminine often feel confused, frustrated, or even heartbroken by the seemingly distant, unexpressed emotions of their divine masculine counterpart. You sense the love, the bond, and the connection, yet their actions sometimes leave you questioning everything. What's really going on in their hearts? Why do they pull away just when things feel right? Why do they struggle to say what you know they feel? The truth is, the divine masculine feels deeply, but they don't always know how to express it. Their silence isn't emptiness, and their distance isn't indifference. There is an entire universe of emotions they carry within them, emotions that they feel deeply, but often won't admit to, even to themselves. Today, we will explore what your divine masculine feels, but struggles to say out loud. By understanding their internal world, you will not only find clarity and peace within yourself, but you will also be able to hold space for them in a way that nurtures both of your souls. Let's dive into the truths they hold close to their hearts. Number 1. He feels overwhelmed by the depth of this connection. The twin flame connection is unlike anything the divine masculine has ever experienced. It doesn't fit into the logical frameworks he has built over time, and it doesn't follow the rules of conventional relationships. He may have expected love to be something he could manage, something he could control, but this connection has shattered all of those expectations. When he first met you, he felt an instant recognition, a pull so strong that it shook his very being. But unlike the divine feminine, who often embraces this connection as a spiritual awakening, the divine masculine may struggle with it. He is not just dealing with feelings of love, he is dealing with an internal battle between his mind and soul. This intensity overwhelms him. It makes him question everything he thought he knew about himself, relationships, and life. He may not admit it, but part of him wonders if he is even capable of handling something this deep. Because of this, he might pull away, not because he doesn't care, but because he needs space to process. His silence is often not rejection. It's an attempt to regain a sense of control over emotions that feel too powerful to contain. Number 2, he feels unworthy of this love. One of the most hidden but powerful emotions your divine masculine carries is a deep sense of unworthiness. He sees you, your light, your love, your unwavering belief in this connection, and it scares him. Not because he doesn't love you, but because he questions whether he deserves you. He may carry wounds from his past, moments where he felt like he failed, relationships where he wasn't enough, or even childhood wounds that made him feel unlovable. To the outside world, he may seem confident, independent, and strong, but deep inside, he battles self-doubt. He doesn't want you to see his flaws, his fears, or his moments of weakness. So instead of admitting these feelings, he may distance himself, mask his insecurities, or even push you away. He won't say it, but sometimes he believes that you would be better off without him. The irony is that while you see his strength, he sees only his weaknesses. While you see his soul, he sometimes only sees his wounds. Understanding this can help you see his actions from a place of compassion rather than pain. He isn't rejecting you. He is struggling to accept himself. Number 3, he is afraid of losing himself in this connection. For many divine masculines, love has always been something they believed they could control. They were raised with the idea that emotions should be managed, logic should lead the way, and independence is the ultimate sign of strength. To them, relationships were meant to complement their lives, not redefine them. But with you, all of that changes. From the moment he met you, he felt a pull that defied logic. It wasn't just attraction or affection, it was a force that made him question everything he thought he knew about love. He sees himself transforming, evolving into someone different. The old version of him, the one who was guarded, certain, and in control, feels like it's slipping away. While a part of him is drawn to this change, another part resists it with all his might. This fear doesn't come from a lack of love. It comes from the realization that this connection is bigger than him. He is used to defining his own path, making decisions based on what makes sense. But with you, nothing follows the rules he once lived by. He doesn't recognize the person he is becoming, and that frightens him. Deep down, he knows that resisting this connection won't make it go away. But surrendering to it feels like stepping into the unknown. He worries that if he lets go completely, he might lose himself in the process. Will he still be the same man? Will he still have control over his own life? These are the questions that run through his mind, even if he never speaks them out loud. Because of this, he may push you away when things become too intense. He may retreat into silence, convincing himself that distance will help him regain his sense of self. But no matter how much space he creates, he cannot escape the truth. This connection is here to change him, and in the depths of his soul, he knows it's leading him toward something greater. The more he resists, the more exhausted he becomes. Eventually, he will have to accept that this transformation is not a loss of self. It is an expansion of who he truly is. And when he finally embraces that, he will realize that this love was never meant to take anything away from him. It was meant to help him become the man he was always meant to be. Number 4. He feels an unbreakable bond with you, even if he tries to deny it. No matter how much he tries to resist, he cannot ignore the bond that exists between you. It is unlike anything he has ever experienced, and it is not something he can walk away from, even if he tries. When he is apart from you, he still feels your presence. He might not understand it, but he senses you in ways he can't explain. Your energy lingers in his thoughts, in his dreams, in the quiet moments when he thinks no one is watching. He may try to distract himself with work, hobbies, or even other relationships, but nothing fills the space you occupy within him. At times, he may convince himself that this connection isn't real. He may tell himself that it's all in his head, that it's just a passing phase. He may even attempt to move on, believing that distance will weaken the pull he feels toward you. But no matter how much time passes, the bond remains as strong as ever. This connection challenges him because it forces him to acknowledge something beyond the physical world. It is not just about attraction or chemistry. It is something deeper, something spiritual. Accepting this would mean surrendering to a force greater than himself, and that is not easy for him to do. Even when he is silent, he is thinking of you. Even when he seems indifferent, he is feeling you. He won't admit it, but this connection is part of him now. It exists within his soul, woven into his very being. There will come a time when he stops fighting it, when he realizes that no matter how far he runs, he is always drawn back to you. Because this isn't just any connection. It is a sacred bond, and no amount of denial can break what the universe has already written. Number 5. He feels safer hiding his emotions than expressing them. For many divine masculines, expressing emotions is not something they have been taught to do. From a young age, they were conditioned to believe that showing vulnerability is a weakness. They were told to be strong, to be providers, to keep their emotions in check. Over time, they learned to suppress their feelings, to lock them away so they would not be seen as fragile or dependent. But with you, everything changes. The emotions he has for you are not small or manageable. They are overwhelming, powerful, and all-consuming. He feels things he has never felt before, and he doesn't know what to do with these emotions. The idea of opening up terrifies him. It makes him feel exposed, like he is giving up control. He worries that if he shows you his true emotions, you might see him differently. Maybe you will think he is weak. Maybe you will see parts of him that he has spent years trying to hide. So instead of expressing his feelings in words, he chooses to show his love in ways that feel safer to him. He may check in on you, even if it's just a simple message. He may do small things for you, gestures that seem insignificant but hold deep meaning for him. He may choose to be present in your life, even if he doesn't say much. He hides his emotions not because he doesn't care, but because expressing them feels too risky. He doesn't know how to put into words what he feels so deeply in his heart. Over time, as he grows and heals, he will learn that vulnerability is not weakness. He will realize that love is not about control, but about trust. And when that moment comes, he will finally allow himself to be seen, fully, completely, and without fear. Number 6. He fears that if he lets you in completely, you might leave. Deep inside, he carries a fear that he cannot put into words. a fear that if he were to let you see every part of him, you might decide he is not enough. This fear is not something he consciously chooses, but it lingers in his heart, shaping the way he interacts with you. He has spent years building walls around himself, not because he wants to shut love out, but because he has learned, through painful experiences, that love can be unpredictable. In the past, he may have trusted people who didn't stay. He may have shared his deepest emotions only to have them dismissed, judged, or used against him. These wounds do not fade easily, and even though he knows you are different, his subconscious still holds on to the belief that opening up fully could lead to heartbreak. He loves you deeply, but love alone does not erase fear. Every time he considers letting his guard down, a voice in his mind warns him of the risks. What if you see the parts of him that he tries to hide, his insecurities, his struggles, his doubts, and decide that he is not who you thought he was? What if the connection that feels so unbreakable right now is not as strong as he hopes? These questions haunt him, making it difficult for him to fully surrender to the depth of his feelings. So instead of letting you all the way in, he holds back. He may seem distant at times, not because he doesn't care, but because keeping a safe emotional distance feels less risky. He may hesitate to express his emotions, not because he doesn't feel them, but because doing so makes him feel vulnerable in a way that unsettles him. This fear is not about you. It is about the wounds he has not yet healed. He sees the love you offer, and he wants to embrace it fully. But there is a part of him that still believes that if he shows too much of himself, he might end up alone. His journey is not just about loving you. It is about learning to trust that love can be safe. Until he heals, he will struggle with this fear. But as he grows, he will come to understand that real love is not something that disappears when the truth is revealed. And when that moment comes, he will finally let you in. Not just in pieces, but completely. Number 7, he loves you more than you will ever know. No matter how much he tries to hide it, no matter how much he runs or struggles with his emotions, there is one thing that remains true. He loves you in a way that is deeper than words, deeper than logic, deeper than even he can fully understand. His love does not always look the way you might expect. He may not express it in grand gestures or poetic declarations. Instead, it may show in the way he silently watches over you, in the way he remembers the little things, in the way he chooses to stay connected, even when words fail him. At times, he may create distance, not because he wants to, but because his emotions are overwhelming. The intensity of this connection shakes him to his core, making him question everything he thought he knew about love. He may not always have the right words to explain what he feels, but his actions, no matter how subtle, speak volumes. Even when he is silent, you are in his thoughts. Even when he seems distant, his heart is still tethered to yours. He may struggle with this journey, but there is never a moment where his soul does not recognize you as the one who has awakened something within him that can never be undone. This love is eternal. It is not bound by time, circumstances, or even the fears that hold him back. It is a love that transcends the physical, a love that was written into the universe long before either of you were aware of it. One day, when he is ready, he will step fully into this love. He will no longer run, no longer hide, no longer resist what his heart has always known. And when that day comes, you will see, not just through his words, but through every part of his being, that he has always been yours. Until then, trust in the journey. Trust that what is meant for you will always find its way back home. Because no matter where he goes, no matter how much time passes, his love for you is unshaken, unbreakable, and everlasting.